Renato Capasso is an Italian serial entrepreneur who currently lives in Australia. He is the founder of Online Monkeys, a marketing agency, co-founder of Socially Speaking, a telehealth clinic for people who struggle with social challenges, particularly people with ADHD and autism, and host of his own podcast, SuperYouMan podcast. Renato dropped out of industrial and molecular biotechnology in Naples and chased a different path in marketing and entrepreneurship. But he didn't leave it all behind, as a common theme throughout his life seems to be biology and health, leading Renato to become somewhat of a biohacking entrepreneur. Today, we are going to try and uncover why Renato dropped out and the pivotal moments in his life that have led him to where he is today. Renato, welcome to the show. And I'd like to start by asking, what is your current mission? And is it the same as what you might have dreamed of when you were a kid in Italy?
Well, first of all, thank you for the fantastic introduction. It looks like you know more than myself that I do. So that's definitely summarize it greatly. My mission has changed over the years, and I think it's gonna go and change daily. But lately, I'm keeping asking this question: What's my mission? And a lot of time, people start with big thing, like I want to change the world. I want to do those crazy stuff that make an impact. And I certainly want to do it. Like later on the podcast, I'll share what is my long term vision. Right now, what really drives me for everything I do,
Yeah.
it's helping my close relatives, so my family, my dad, my brothers, and making their life easier in whatever means, like through mentorship or and not only being there for them. That's my main. That's what really drives me for everything I do in life, which is totally different to when I was a kid. I wanted to be um, first a farmer
Right.
when I was a kid.
Okay.
I loved that was my dream, being with the farmer, being with all the animals. Then I saw a goalkeeper and a soccer player. And then obviously as I grow up, like teenage years, when you start to realize, when you transition to being an adult, I knew I wanted to be independent, and I think that's what remained consistent to now. Like freedom is very important to me, because that gives you the opportunity to be yourself. And I knew at the time to achieve freedom, I needed to get into entrepreneurship. I think
Right.
I always had that in me, even though it was a long journey, but only as a tool to get financial freedom. And with that comes a series of other things, like you can be your authentic self and do the things that you really want to do. So that's remained.
Right.
But the drive is helping my family right now. That's going to remain as well. And I think as I progress my journey, I also want to do things for other people. I've really learned in first person how that really is important. But before helping others, and I guess I do help others
Yeah.
with the business. But in terms of a mission, before making others the priority, I want to make my close family the priority first.
Right.
And I think I'm doing a good job at it so far.
Okay. And what moment was it when you realized that, hey, this is what you need to do to create this like freedom, be it financial, mainly it's financial, so you have the choice to decide whatever you want to do with your time. When was that, like, or what age was it in your career? Was it before you went to college or around that time?
No, it was a bit later in life. Like I always knew, I always had that dream. But when sometimes you dream of things and you think they are not reachable
Mm-hmm.
to yourself. So it was a dream, but I was like, okay, that's not for me. So when I was in my early 20s, I still had that dream, but I knew it was too far for me to achieve. Like it's too far to own my business. It's too far to just go on the other side of the world, Australia. Was in the back of my mind, but I didn't really hope to achieve that. Um, so I said, okay, I'm just gonna go to school, gonna study, find a good job, and in parallel, I tried to do other things, but was things um, sometimes even innovative things, I will say, but always through third parties, like an employer or
Mm-hmm.
um, the mayor. In some cases, I did the project with the place where I used to live. that I designed. Pretty much I transformed the suburb into a resort in summer. It was a project that I pretty much written myself, all the shows, everything, and that passed through, I think, regional funds.
Right.
So I had the desire of doing something different, but the minute that that I decided to be an entrepreneur, really, I think it was when I came to Australia. And when I realized, I remember it was a moment when I realized I used to work in hospitality and for a very successful business. And I realized that they were very successful, so I could see the numbers that they were doing. And there was a moment that I realized how much money were they making, and in proportion, how little I was getting. And that was the moment of the click for me. Was truly a click. And I said, no, if I need to work hard, because I need to work hard anyway. So if I need to do it, I'd rather do it for myself,
Right.
taking all the risks and doing it for myself. So from that moment, I still worked for someone else for a few years, but the mindset was different. Like I didn't like working for someone. I was very, I felt the weight of working for someone else. Like I'm helping someone else and not myself.
Yeah.
So it was a transition because I had no contact. It was not my country, and it takes a while and no education in terms of entrepreneurship and so on because I studied something totally different. And then a few years after, I started the marketing agency.
Right. Right. So when you were working in hospitality, you were back in Italy.
No, I was in Australia.
You were in Australia.
Yeah.
So you had already made that move. You'd already dropped out of college.
Oh,
Is that
yeah.
correct?
Yeah, 100%.
And was there anyone that you looked up to, apart from having this realization yourself, seeing the amount of money, this business made and how little you were getting? Was there any realization or public figure that you were kind of, hey, they can do it, why not me?
More than public figure, I was following a lot of marketing gurus, right? So I wouldn't say public figures, but people who made it to be, their own boss.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very cool, especially at the time. I'm talking about 20 years ago. So it was like when at the time the remote thing wasn't really a thing, right? Or like as much as now. I said, wow, this would be great. Like I could be anywhere and still earning money. So those were the people that kind of was looking up to. And in marketing. And the marketing thing came with because of a book. I published a book in Italy. Totally, this is not about marketing. It's not about health. It was at the time for me a mean to make some extra money.
Okay.
And he helped me because thanks to that book, I had enough funds to then move to London. And probably I think that could have been my first entrepreneurial move.
Right in this book?
Yeah, probably writing the book because that was all myself. It was through a publisher, but it was all myself, right? Like I was selling something.
And what was the book on?
Oh my gosh, it was about poetries.
Okay.
So it was a poetry book because I thought at the time I said, oh, I'm working. So at the time I'm talking about was early 20s. So I just dropped out of uni. And I was working so much. I was working as an entertainer in resorts and McDonald's as well. And so the entertainment work was in summer, McDonald's was in winter. And I said, I need to get out of this somehow. I just have enough to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Sometimes not even. So I said, I need to get out of this. I want to go. I knew I wanted to leave Italy. I love Italy. I love coming back. At the time, for me, I did try to do a lot of things to kind of get out of, to break out from that kind of trap that I was in, that rat race that I was in. But I wouldn't say I failed, but I did trust the wrong people. And so I said, oh, maybe I could write a book. That was the only thing that I could think of, like because at the time I had pretty much no skills, no contacts. So I said, okay, I was good at writing. I said, I can write a book, but I didn't have time to commit to a full book.
Right.
And I said, okay, maybe I can do poetries. Said, I mean, if I write a poetry a day, in a month I would have 30 poetries, and maybe that would be enough for a small book manual. And so I did. So it was a romantic. This was a romantic
Right. True
poetry.
Italian.
Yeah, through Italian, and but people were very supporting. I have to say, I did pre-sale that book before it went live through people who to guests of the resorts where I used to work from.
Hmm.
They've been very kind in supporting me, and I sold a few copies, and I was able to save enough money to just at least starting something new in London.
Right.
And then I think in London where um, everything started for me.
Okay. So just to be clear then, you didn't drop out of college because you weren't not interested in the subject per se. It was more actually the whole kind of ecosystem where you were and not having the funds and the time to really put in the hours because you were too busy working, trying to get money in to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And that's the reason you dropped out. Would
Mhm.
you have gone back in time and finished that course looking back? Or do you
Mm.
think you made the right decision?
No, I think I made the right decision. It's a bit of a pity because I didn't have long to go. I think I would have had 9 months to finish. So not long.
Yeah.
9 months, let's say 1 year, because
Yeah.
with 1 month, then you need to do the final exam. So,
Right.
uh, but I'm very happy where that choice led me to. Sometimes we need to push ourselves out of our comfort zone. That was my comfort zone going out because I was following everything that I needed to do. I was
Mhm.
also, but I did love the subject. I love biology as biotechnology. So even more because it's biology at a molecular level.
Mhm.
So it's really my thing. Still at present, even after I left uni, that's what I read. If I buy a
Right.
book, that's what I read, you
Okay.
know. But I was I don't think I've enjoyed my teenage years as much as other people around me.
Mhm.
Um, I had, I mean, my dad's still alive, my mom is not. I think I've had the best parent. They gave me a solid, I call it life education,
Mhm.
so on. But when it comes to, um, I think having fun of doing the things that you want to do or the things that I wanted to do at least,
Yeah.
which is nothing crazy and just going out with friends on the weekend, some trips and so on. I couldn't do that. So that part was gone.
Okay.
Um, and so I compensated by studying a lot and working in summer.
Okay.
And then with uni, I would see this new chapter, right? So 18 to 21, I think, was this new chapter. I was seeing exactly the same things that was happening for me in high school.
Mhm.
So I was, but quote unquote, worst because more expenses to sustain. So I was waking up at 5, go to uni, finishing at 7, going home, um, arriving home by 7 by the time I take the bus and everything. Um, study, eat, study. I was doing DJing at night in the city where I used to live to get some money um, to get by. I was living with my parents. That helped. So at least no rent. And then doing it all over again. So it's pretty much I don't even know how I did it. I was sleeping literally 4 hours a night.
Mm.
It wasn't something that was like, oh, my life is miserable. For me, it was normal. Was
Right.
the norm. Now, if I think about it, I think maybe it's not the norm. Um, but then a few years after, I say, oh, what am I doing with my life? I'm just still doing the world is beautiful to see.
Mhm.
I want to see the world. I want to travel. And I thought, oh, I still can find ways, creative ways. So I did apply for a Erasmus,
Okay.
right? You're from Europe as well. So, like so I said, maybe I can apply for it. So you get some funds that allows you to still complete uni, but overseas.
Yeah.
So I can see the world. I can combine the two things and I can work. And maybe if I move overseas, there are also more work opportunities for me. So I did apply for it. Had the choice between Marseille and Santiago
Okay.
de Compostela in Spain, and I was over the moon. I said, "Great, I can do this, right?" So okay, I can combine those things together.
Mm-hmm.
So, and to close the loop about what I was doing in summer, when you're supposed to rest, I
Yeah.
was working in resorts.
Okay.
So to close the loop about my life at the time was like study, eat, work, and then during holidays, working in resort as an entertainer.
Mm-hmm.
In summer. In winter, Santa Claus. I was Santa Claus. So it was just not
Right. So every job pretty much that was
every
there,
job
you did.
correct.
Yeah.
So and was no stuff for me. And for me was the norm. But after many years, it becomes like, oh wow, I'm just studying, working,
Mm-hmm.
studying, working. I'm not doing anything that is fun or fulfilling. And so that was the I think the build up that I was accumulating over the years. This Erasmus opportunity made me think, okay, I found a way to kind of compensate things. I can still study and work and do the same type of lifestyle
Yeah.
there, but at least I'm in another city. I can
Right.
see the world. Then I found out that I could not do it because I could have done it, but you get some funds that to support you.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't, I think you don't have to pay for uni, which
Yeah.
is good, big help. University in Italy is not that expensive anyway, but and they give you some funds to support your lifestyle there. Nothing crazy,
Mm-hmm.
but I was really counting on those funds, and I found out that they give it to you at the end of the 6 months later.
Right.
So
As a reimbursement.
as a reimbursement kind of thing, which for me meant I cannot go because I did not even have the money to get on a Ryanair to get there. Right, like so it was that bad. It was everything gets planned, right?
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, I cannot do it. So that's fine. Let me finish uni,
Mm-hmm.
and and then I'll go. I'll work for a while, accumulate money. I can work more, and then move overseas. That was the
Right.
plan. I was very not content on how things were going. So what I did then was so the reason why I'm saying this is because I want you to kind of visualize the build up over the years, right? That I
Right.
had, and I think also the patience. I was way more patient back then. So than now. Then we were, I think, second years of uni by now, and summer comes. So I said, okay, let me try and do something maybe a bit out of the ordinary. So I came up with this idea. So in Italy, you have many suburbs. You got the main cities and then the many. I mean, every country right, has
Right.
the suburbs. And in summer, those suburbs becomes a bit dead because people go on holiday,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people cannot afford to go on holiday. So I thought, okay, I can write this project. It's called I think it was called Villaggio in Città, which means resident in city, like summer residence in your city,
Okay.
something like this. And pretty much what I did, I wrote this program, which was 2 months of entertainment activities, shows at night, with the 60 different entertainment shows, tournaments, a lot of activities through the day, exactly like a resort, and through a program done in a way that a third-party agency, entertainment agency, comes in
Mm-hmm.
and teaches the young people of that same suburb how to become resort entertainers.
Right.
So they can then learn something, apply that in the context where they've grown up with,
Mm-hmm.
and then the final result is you give work to people that are local
Yeah.
and people who live there. They cannot afford holidays. They have like a resort,
Entertainment.
tournament, a lot of activities. So that project was doing very well.
Yeah.
And I just had the passion for the novelty of it. I was not even thinking about the money back
Mm-hmm.
then. And that was doing very well, so well that all the suburbs around it, the voice spread.
Right.
And I remember at nighttime when I was in the evening, when I was presenting the show, I started the first night with, I don't know, 200 people. And by the time of the second week, there were like thousands of people because there's nothing to do there, right? So
Right.
people talk, oh, let's go here. So it became pretty successful. I remember I started seeing sponsors behind me on the stage.
Yeah.
But I didn't have the intuition of saying, oh, money is starting to move around. And I'm not
Right.
talking about lots of money, but something out of the ordinary for that context.
Mm-hmm.
I was very proud of myself because, oh, this is great. Like, people are working. The retailers around that they got queues. They never had queues like this. Um, Local TVs there. Like, it was something very, very good. And then I found out that um, that out of like, I was getting peanuts out of everything that was happening, and a couple of other things that I really didn't like. And so that was my other attempt to break out. Like, so pretty much people wanted to get the merit of that context, of that idea.
Right.
And it was not even an idea, it was also applied. And at the time, I didn't care about the money. I didn't care about anything. So I passed on all those things. But the only thing that I wanted it was at least the satisfaction I did something
Right.
good in my 20s, because it was, and so they wanted to take me out of that because they wanted to take the merit of it as a council. I don't know how
Right.
to
Yeah,
say
the
it.
council, like a council kind of initiative. They
Yeah,
wanted to take the
correct,
idea.
and
Yeah.
not mine. Like, I did wrote all the everything from start to finish. That was what made me click, and I said, okay, just so let's abandon this. Let me just leave this and go back in the. So the council took that, and that failed. That didn't go ahead more because I don't know why. But then another step on. So frustrated with my life. Like, I was trying to do things,
Yeah.
and then starts another uni year, and the way I was planning my money was I will do the entertainment for 2 to 3 months in summer. I will come back in September.
Yeah.
That's European summer. I will come back in September, do all the exams from that term in September, which was the last bit, and then again that routine, like study DJ entertainment. But all the money that I made from summer, which are not a lot, I will take them and do the count of all the money I need through the years and split them for everything I need, right? Like,
Yeah.
exact, like mathematic to the cent. And my budget, I remember to the 2 3 days, my daily allowance,
Yeah.
taking off the bus, and my day allowance at the uni was €3.50. And this €3.50 was €1 for a coffee, which now I think for almost 20 years ago was a very overpriced coffee, and €2.50 for a sandwich at
Yeah.
uni. That was my allowance, right? And one day, so I just imagine all this frustration that was building up. One day I just go to get coffee. I put a €2 to get my coffee,
Yeah.
and the machine doesn't give me change. So I'm left with €1.50.
Right.
And I said, oh, I cannot eat. You'll find out I love eating. And I think that was the click moment. Talking about click moment, I was
Yeah.
like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I'm here, like, I'm 22, I'm working hard. I
Yeah.
am read because I'm being proactive in my initiative. Is I'm doing everything I can. I'm probably 21 at the time, or approaching to be 21, and I haven't seen the world. I haven't done, I haven't done much. Just pretty much studying and working.
Yeah.
And I said, is this going to be the projection of life for the next, 6 years? Because obviously with uni, you do 3 years, then you finish. For what I wanted to do, it was 3 years, then you finish. You do 2 more years to specialize.
Okay.
Then you do other 2 years for what I wanted to do. I wanted to be, I don't know how to say that in English. When there is a crime scene and the biologist comes
Oh,
to,
okay. Yeah.
that was what I
Yeah.
was studying to be.
Okay.
And that will take, so 3 years to finish the first degree, but then would have taken more. I said, I don't want to spend my more years like that. So if I need to be miserable in a way that I struggle for money, I prefer in a way that at least I see the world and at least I travel, because I really want to travel. So that day I drop out immediately. Like, I came back home, I called the agency at the time, the entertainment agency. I said, hey, this year I'm going to do a long season, because usually I will do 3 months.
Okay.
So this year I'm available for you for like 6 7 months. And so I did it. I took those money to pay for a private master degree in tourist management, because my backup plan was, okay, I'm working I'm kind of working in hospitality, I still need to have a backup plan, right? I cannot just keep doing this for life. So that was my kind of backup plan. I did a long season of work, so I had a little bit more money. So I said I can move to Milan, which I did. I moved to Milan. I think I didn't tell you that the Milan part. Forgot about it. And then I did this master in tourist management, and that's when I thought, oh, this master can help me to get a good job. And I was working at McDonald's doing the master, similar. But at least I was in Milan. It was like
Okay.
oh, I'm traveling.
Right.
I wasn't traveling. I was in McDonald's and home, right?
Right.
And the master was a private master degree. I did this for 6, 7 months. I found out that private master degree wasn't really the answer to get a proper job, as I've been sold to. I said, okay, I need to get out of. I want to go to London.
Right.
But I don't have enough.
Why London?
I wanted to learn. I said, oh, I need to up my skills and open to different audiences and different publics. I want to learn English. And at the time, everyone was doing London. If I would go back instead of London, probably I would have done Bath or like a different, smaller cities. But I said, oh, I need to, if I do just the season now, because by now it was like probably May. If I do just the season, it's only 3 months. It's not enough for me. Probably would be enough, but then that means I get to London and I work the minute I get to London, which is I need some saving money to save, and that's what I came out with the idea of the book. I need to do something extra, and I said, oh, I can do the book.
Yeah.
And so I did, and then I did this book, and people bought it. So I had a little bit of money from the book, and a little bit of money from my work, and that's where I went in London.
Okay, so then 22, 23-year-old Renato turns up in London with a backpack, maybe, and he's looking at Big Ben, starry eyes, and thinking, what's next? And what happens there? What happens in London?
Yeah, so in London, first of all, I was over the moon. Because I said, oh, wow, I did. For me, that was something big, right? So big was because it was, and that was the first realization. I said, okay, I can do stuff. And it seems like for a lot of people maybe listening, this might be like very like, I don't know, normal stuff. They said, okay, the guy's talking, just went to London. They said, but for me, it was a very big deal.
And it's also, 15 years ago when travel wasn't as cheap and easy to do. So I think actually a lot of people probably couldn't relate to it because it would be quite a different thing.
Yeah, it was a different thing, but people were still doing it. But for me, it was like something impossible, out of reach. At least it was, sometimes we close ourselves, right? Was just because in the context where I grew up, it's like you die where you are born, right? So that's all I could see at the time.
Right.
So that's why now I see, I just went to London. I see something that's very simplistic now.
Yeah.
But at the time for me was the big deal. Like, wow, I made it. Something that I considered it was like something so out of reach, I made it. And that's the reason why I'm saying that is because the realization that, okay, so things that I think are unreachable are not really unreachable. They might be difficult from the context that you are now, but they are not really unreachable. So I can do pretty much everything I want if I put the work in and if I say I'm going to do this. And that was the big mindset shift for me, because Australia was like the unreachable dream. Getting to Australia, living to Australia, becoming an Australian citizen was the unreachable dream. Making my own business was the unreachable dream. Like all the things that then I ended up doing were the unreachable dreams, but the mindset has changed. In London, I did found a job still in hospitality, concierge, and I have good memories about it. I was very happy because I had the normal job that allowed me to just go out of the restaurant and buy a sandwich, right? Just eating out. So for me, those were the novelties, right? And then I had some people inquiring about the book.
Yeah.
Some people that bought the book said, "Oh, when is the next one?" Really? Okay, if I can make a little bit more money, I'll write something else.
Do you have the book today? Is there a link
I-
we can put in the description for anyone
Oh,
that's interested in poetry, or is that just hidden away in a drawer?
it is still on Amazon, but
Okay.
it's not something I'm very proud of
Okay.
because it's no. I'm actually very proud of for the action.
Hmm.
Some of the poetries, I read them now and I
Mhm.
say, wow, those are good. I actually like the poetries that are there.
Yeah.
Sometimes my mom used to publish them on Facebook, and I
Wow.
thought they were just some other writer's poetry because
Right.
I even forgot the poetry. I said, oh, this is good. Who
Yeah.
wrote it? And then I found out what was my poetries. And so I really like the poetries as well, but I just don't see myself writing those sort of things
I
now.
see. Yeah. It's not
You
who
know,
you are.
yeah,
Okay.
it's probably was who I was before, but not now. It's
Mhm.
too sweet to just like if you get like 4 spoons of sugar at once.
Right.
It's
Okay.
but it is on Amazon
Okay.
still at
Okay.
present. Um, yeah, but people wanted me to write another book, but I was in London, so I couldn't do it through the publisher,
Hmm.
and that's when I started getting into marketing because I said, okay, if I write this second book, and I'm not through the publisher, I need to self promote it. That's what I learned. How to make a website, social media marketing.
Hmm.
I dived. I love studying things like anything that is nonfiction. Um, but that's the book. That's why I say I'm not proud of what I wrote, even though they're nice poetries. But I'm proud of the action of the
Right.
journey of the book, uh, because that did lead me into marketing. And eventually, from that, I started getting. I got a first job in marketing in Prague.
Hmm.
Was it more of an internship?
Okay.
And then I've got a social media manager role in Italy. So after
And was that remote at the time, or you moved to
no,
those places?
I went in Prague for I think 3 months.
Okay.
So it was a more of an internship.
Mhm.
Still hotel, still hospitality, but social media manager
Right.
focused. At the time, there were like Foursquare was this social media where you check in, and obviously Facebook was still there. From there, I moved back to Italy,
Hmm.
still in an hotel, doing social media management,
Hmm.
and then I decided to go in. When I came back to Italy, I really didn't like the work. I loved. I came back to Italy to a person that I met through the entertainment years, which I'm still in contact with. That I've got like a great relationship. I think was one of my first mentors. You can have mentors where you actively have a mentor, and mentors where you just notice things
Hmm.
that they do. Like one of the first people that I really admired business-wise, and I took a lot of inspiration from. But the context of Italy, I uh, I, I didn't fit in
Hmm.
there anymore. So I wanted to come back to leave Italy, and instead of coming back to London, was to give context was uni, Milan, then again the resort, London, Prague, Italy.
Hmm.
And then instead of coming back to London again and starting all over again because I left my job and
Right.
in London, I said, okay, you know what? I really want to go to Australia.
Hmm.
I have some money saved because meanwhile I've done 2 years of just normal jobs, but you can save a little bit of money. I want to go to Australia.
Yeah.
I want to do 3 months there. And then, yes, we come back to London. I was with my ex-partner at the time. And then we come back to London, but at least I want to see Australia. That's the opportunity.
Right.
And that's where I went to Australia. And when I came to Australia, I knew I wanted to be in marketing. So I always started looking for marketing roles in Australia. And one of those marketing roles was a lady that had a web design agency.
Hmm.
And she told me that she could not hire me. She was looking for contractors.
Right.
And that was, I think, my first official, being in business, right? So I was still working at the time. I was doing freelancing at the time.
Right.
But that's what I could see. Oh, wow. Just, the hours of work for the money rewards was versus the normal job.
Hmm.
I could see the disproportion,
Right.
right? And I said, okay, this could be, plus was online. I said, this could be interesting. I really want to pursue this. And I'm talking about 13 years ago.
Right.
Yeah. And in Italy, I did some freelancing as well. So
Okay.
by the time I was in Australia, I did probably 3.5 years of experience. And that's where I started my journey as a I mean, more of a having my own business.
Okay.
Wasn't easy. Again, I didn't have any connections, and
So how did you find like the first clients? Because obviously when you're in Australia, you said you kind of found that, and most people, if they're starting out, they're thinking, oh, I'd love to, do contract work for a web agency. But then the first question is, okay, what skills do you have? Why should I hire you? How did you collect that freelance experience? Like, what advice would you give to others, maybe listening, entrepreneurs looking to be, to like start their kind of journey? Is there
yeah.
any like source? There was no Fiverr back then, I'm guessing, or Upwork.
There was no Fiverr yet. There was no Upwork. Was called Elance at the time. No, it was no Elance. Odesk was
Okay.
called, but it wasn't a thing yet. So okay, so I tell you what I did, and I tell you maybe what I would suggest people would do now, because what I did is not necessarily the things that I would do
Right.
now, because times have changed. So what I did at the time, I was looking for a job, in reality, in marketing. I said, I want to get out of these hospitality things. I liked doing social media in Italy and in Prague. That's what I want to do. But in Australia, you have visas, and I had working on a visa, which allow you to work for an employer for 6 months, and then you need to find another employer. So, which meant if you don't do hospitality, you're like unemployable, right? Because it's 6 months. Sometimes it's only the training when you work for a proper company. So, but I really was determined. So after like a week in Australia and a month prior to go to Australia, of sending resumes, curriculum vitae in Europe, they call it resume there.
Yeah.
I said, okay, this is not working. Let me change method. So I just started calling Google, all the agencies like web design agency or marketing agency, Sydney, because I was in Sydney at the time, calling everyone, cold calling. Eventually, on the 6th page of Google, I've called these agency, and there were 2 owners listed into it. One owner I called and I said, oh, I do social media marketing. You looking for someone? She hung up.
Right.
Okay, rude, but okay. And then I called the second owner
Yeah.
of the same company. And she said, oh, interesting. I said, oh, do you do SEO as well? Which I was not doing at the time. I knew what it was, but I wasn't skilled in SEO at the time. And she said, and I said, oh yeah, of course, yeah, it's my thing. I said, okay, we should talk. And that's the lady that I told you that hired me as a contractor.
Okay.
So that's where it started from me. So she was splitting up the partnership with that agency. She was starting her own web design
Okay.
agency, and she was looking for an SEO contractor because she was doing web design. She needed an SEO contractor. For a week, I've been pretty much immersed in studying SEO until I did an interview with her prior to start the collaboration. And she said, oh, I can really tell your experience and you really know your thing. Yeah, I do. And so she started giving me work from their clients. So that was my first kind of, and I didn't have experience at the time, but I'm very, like, I studied, when I say for a week, I studied every day, night and day, I really mean I studied every day, night and day.
Right.
Like 13, 14 hours a day. I'm not exaggerating. 13, 14 hours a day without break. So I was very resilient with those things. So it's, if you count the hours, if you think, oh, someone goes to, I don't know, to study, I don't know, a diploma about SEO, they do 6 hours a week. Right? I did the hours of the diploma, but condensed it in. So that's where it started, and then from there it just built up referrals. Then I've got another person coming in and help me. Then I had the dream, the mistake at the time, thinking that I can just hire someone and this someone will do the work for me. Couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, you're in business too, as that's where another journey begins, right? From procedures, SOP, hiring, stimulating people in a way of like, how do I make people really stick with me and really have passion for the work?
Yeah.
How can I make my service a better service? And all other journey that lasted years, because obviously then I want to be the best at what I do. And so the 10 years have been a very big involvement, right? But coming back to your question, what I would suggest people that want to start, now there are so many opportunities, right? So if someone wants to start working online, I think that's the question, right? If someone wants to start working online, right now, so I really believe that in future, it's already happening now, but there's not going to be employees anymore. I think everyone will be a contractor, and they're just going to be collaborations to each other. I don't think it really makes sense having employees anymore in the long term. Obviously, it does make sense, but I'm generalizing, right, for very small businesses. But just number one, start with some pick some, take action. A lot of time people wait things to be perfect before to start. And what I mean, I think when you work with someone else and you're providing a service, things have to be perfect or close. You can't improvise it, because then it becomes not fraud, but it becomes like it's, once you start offering your service, make sure that you're good at it.
Yeah.
Right. But to get into that journey, start something. Don't take 12 months to build a website, and just start something. Pick what you want to do. So now people have the advantage that every day you got something new. So for example, with AI automation, it wasn't anything until a year and a half ago. So you're not competing with seniors that have 15 years of experience. If you start now, you got just one less years of experience than other people. So pick something and then make an offer. So it's like, okay, pick a niche. If you want to start very simple, pick a niche, make an offer, create an offer, make the offer very simple, so that people will feel foolish for you to say no to their offer. And that's the basic of the business, right? Having an offer and a service and an offer. And then obviously the other part, it's getting clients. Have a payment processor. I love Stripe. There is Go cardless. Don't do PayPal. Just 5% fee. It just doesn't make sense. But take a way to receive money, and then go looking for clients. Right. I wouldn't go on marketplaces, Fiverr, Upwork. I wouldn't go this way, neither for look for clients or to look for collaborators. It's just I don't know, in my experience, just you just bid with other 30 people. Right. It's not a sustainable way of doing. You go go to networking events. I think at first, before doing it, just get to know people physically. So I will go in networking events a lot. If you don't want to do that, do cold calling. So I think that the rules of marketing in general are still the same. They don't change. The behavior of a sales that don't change. What changes the circumstances and the saturation points of certain things. I'll give you an example. Many years ago, everyone was doing door-to-door. Like a lot of people were doing door-to-door and cold calling. And now, and if you were doing email marketing, which is still great right now, but if you were doing email marketing, it was not saturated yet. Now it's kind of the other way around. Like everyone is doing email and everything offline. Not many people doing cold calling as much as before. So I will do cold calling, to be honest. It develops I will choose what's my niche, create an irresistible offer, and call people by cold calling. That's the method. Start with something small. Start with local businesses, and because there is less it's faster to close a client with local businesses. There is no, don't go with the big brands right at the beginning. Maybe offer your service for free.
Right. Just to build a portfolio.
Yeah, build a portfolio. Actually, I would recommend that. Build your the first few clients, the first 3, 4. Do it for free. Build a portfolio. You, at the very least, you're gonna have recommendations from other people, and then find clients. Cold calling, email outreach. I love email outreach. Right now, you can go very, very deep with email outreach, and that is also a skill that you can develop to offer as a service. So you can go to tool, for example, Instantly, for example, which is this outreach software. You need to see regulations as well, because in some countries it's not legal to just blast people off with many emails. But there are tools like Instantly. There are many out there. There are email outreach softwares.
Right, so they can check these things for you.
They just offer the tool to send like 10,000 email a day, potentially. There is a way to do it. You create a lot of, you buy a lot of domains. You don't do it with your domain, because if your domain gets flagged as spam by the email software, then your operations are ruined. Even if you send an email to a friend, that will go to spam. So you don't do it with your domain. So you buy new domains that are similar. So for example, if your domain is table.com, you buy table2.com, table3.com, table5.com. You buy 10 of them. For each one of them, you create 3-4 emails. So all of a sudden, you got 10 domains and 20 email addresses. Each email address sends 50 email a day in outreach, not too many, because otherwise it's spam for that domain. Result is you can send automatically in a few clicks 10,000 emails a day. If 1% is 0.5% replies, and out of those who replies, 2% get an appointment, and out of 2% get an appointment, 50% becomes a client. You already have your first clients. You need to do it properly, obviously. So I think it's spam if you just spam people. But if you add personalization, which now we have the tools to do it, you can add what's called enrichments. There are tools like Clay that really allows you to create at scale, email outreach at scale. So I'm talking about like potentially contacting 10,000 people a day with 10,000 highly personalized email. That says, hey, Liam, I saw your LinkedIn post today about how caffeine is good for you. I think it's great. And by the way, I checked Neuron. You can go very detailed. And so all of a sudden you got 10,000 emails personalized. That's a way if you want to start the agency. And if you want to really scale with outreach and you don't have too much funds, or if you have no funds at all, go on LinkedIn, connect with people, get some value first, and again, do outreach. So there are ways now. There is
many ways.
Outreach, marketing, SEO. I do love SEO. The scenario of SEO is changing. The rules are still the same. The behavior is changing. People use LLMs more, like ChatGPT and others. But the rules of SEO still apply. I think now Google is more the back end and ChatGPT, for example, is the front end. So SEO is still a good, powerful way to. It's not dead, as many people believes. So there are ways, but start, go out there, and a lot of the times you're gonna learn along the way. Just don't rip people off. Like there are a lot of people that they just don't say yes on things that
you can't
follow through with.
So when you told this lady that you could do SEO, you knew that within a week you were going to be able to deliver on it at least, rather than saying, hey, I have no experience doing SEO. And sometimes you have to take the risk and put yourself out there.
Yes. And at the time I had no choice. I really had no choice. I needed the money to pay rent in Australia and the other side of the world. But when I have been given a client, I was ready for the service. Yes, I was more a junior person, but I was ready for the service. So I knew the thing that I was offering, because she told me, make me the offer that we need to, give to those people. And the offer I made was based on the skill that I did learn.
Right.
So I had to do it a little bit in a rush. But when I got the clients that I got, I knew what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of time people just say yes and they have no clue what they were doing.
And you charged them probably fairly because it was like a
Oh,
new skill,
yeah,
rather than
absolutely.
like the higher agencies that might charge a premium.
Yeah, I was charging probably, I don't know, 30 times less than
Right.
another agency.
Okay.
It was
Yeah.
proportionate.
And so she was your first client in Australia.
Yes.
How did that evolve into Online Monkeys and what it is today? Because now you run a full-scale digital agency.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's been evolving over the years. So it's been a very gradual process. Initially was just very centered to me. I was the main person offering the service.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, I've realized I needed help. So I started hiring people, made a lot of mistakes along the way. The real shift happens when I've been looking for shortcuts for a while, right? And when I say shortcuts, was like maybe let me find that one agency that give me 10 clients, or let me find let me do this instead of that. But when I said, okay, I'm just gonna focus, and I could do that at the time because I did save some money. I said, no, I'm just gonna focus on the service that I offer and really perfectioning that service and focusing on hiring and making good SOP that are not too boring, not too specific enough, but still compressed enough that people actually read them.
Right.
And that was when the shift started happening. Good people, hiring very good people, really focusing. That's my role. My role is focusing on the service, adapting as time change. For example, now a big emphasis it's on the change of the SEO landscape. We call it GEO now.
Okay. What does GEO stand for?
Generative optimization.
Ah, okay.
And you work on not just on Google. You work on Google on obviously Google searches, but also a layer on top. Okay. You want to be appearing on ChatGPT mentions, on Perplexity, on Claude AI. The different scenario versus even up to 3 years ago when 85% of people would just use Google. Now, I think it's a bit more spread. And this spread will just increase. Like the Google dominance will go down and down and down in terms of the front end.
Right.
Right. But Google still will be one of the main players in the game, but just understanding the behavior. I think the behavior change, the main SEO rules. I mean, SEO changes every 6 months because there is always an algorithm change. Okay. But I see it as a layer on top. You apply the SEO rules plus another layer on top. Okay. To appear on the search results. We're still learning. It's fairly new, but we know we need to adapt.
Right.
And that's the opportunity. A lot of people would not adapt. They would still do the SEO the old way.
Okay.
They will still just report on Google.
Yeah.
And those will be the one left behind. That's the opportunity. I'm actually quite excited for it. It's just, a little bit less competitors around. And there's a good opportunity. Understanding also the behavior. Traffic, I think organic traffic will go way down for any business, organic traffic. But the quality of the organic traffic would be way higher.
Okay.
In a world where everyone consult an LLM, a ChatGPT. Because before getting to your website, because now what the LLM does, and Google will launch this, I think they launched like AI mode, which is pretty much like ChatGPT. Before getting to your website, people have done research, they probably have had the conversation with the large language model. By the time they get to your website, it's like the large language model has highly qualified the traffic for you. So for example, if before you had 10,000 visitors a month and only 1% will convert, now you're probably going to have 5,000 but maybe 5% will convert.
Okay.
So it balances it out.
And so with the agency now, you're taking a huge approach to learning AI, adapting to that.
Mm-hmm.
How does this sound to you, thinking about today's problems when you were, back in Naples going through everything you did? Did you think this is the unreachable goal? Are you kind of happy with where you are? What's the kind of mission now? And
Yeah.
you touched on it at the start, but does this come full circle?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this came full circle. So I'm very happy how things are going now. I've also have a little bit of a curse. I think that's the entrepreneurial curse, where ambition always asks you what's the next thing, what's the next thing. And I say sometimes it's a curse because
Right, you always want more. It's never enough.
yeah, sometimes I wish I can sit to enjoy this a little bit longer. So I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Sometimes okay, I'm here and I need to be here, and the next step are always higher. That's why I say it's a curse, but it's also a good thing because that's what pushes you. As before, what I thought was, as long as I earn enough to live and work remotely, I'm fine. I'm done.
Right.
But it's not. I just want more. Eventually, I want to get to a stage to make a difference for not only my family, but also for other people. We're doing it with the business, and indirectly we're doing it, but also actively. So it's funny how I left health, right? We started this saying that I dropped out of university and I left health and then started a new journey that led me into having my own business and then eventually became more than one business. We'll talk about the clinic after. But I was so eventually all the overworking caught up with me in terms of my health. So I started to having, I had sleep apnea, pretty much no iron, ulcers, and a number of things that I was very, very unhappy with my health. And I started to go to doctors. Anyway, they couldn't help me. Anyway, the one, like I wasn't I felt I wasn't getting the help that I really needed it. I was getting pills, but I wasn't getting any better.
Right.
And that's when I decided to take health in my own hands. And I became very passionate again. I said, oh, wait a second. I know how to read scientific papers. Let me see if there is anything out there on PubMed, for example, that can help me to solve what I'm having now. I won't give you the long list that I had at the time, but I just went, I found a couple of things and they worked for me. It's always risky because I also found experimented on things that ended up making my situation worse, and I think that needs to be said because sometimes we say, oh, the medical system is corrupt and it's bad. I think the Western medical system is not the best. There's a lot of improvements to do, but also we need to be conscious to the fact that when you taking health into your own hand is a big responsibility.
Right.
And you can do some mistakes. I've done big mistakes that made me worse than before making better. So now I feel very confident and like I've learned a lot, but along the way I made mistakes. I tried supplement and I did overdose without knowing it. Things we need to be careful. I say that's because a lot of time people just talk as of, oh, you take health into your own hands and everything is going to be fine. No, it's still a big responsibility.
Right.
But that led me to health again. Eventually, I started reaching out to my old friends about technology. We kind of started a project in biotechnology with the uni. I started to become very passionate again about health and biotechnology. And that led me to listen to a lot of podcasts about health. And I said, oh, I really want to start my own podcast because I saw those people as, like gods.
Right.
And I tried to reach out to them, but nobody really just got back to me. And I said, oh, I got to do a podcast. I said, so I can, worst case scenario, I just got a free consult, right? So that was my thing. There are still questions that I want to ask to certain specific people. And so I started the podcast. With the podcast, gave me enough exposure and I guess connection to other companies that were still in the health space.
Yeah.
And that's when I got the click. I said, okay, Online Monkeys. So Online Monkeys, still now we work with fintech, we work with crypto companies. We're not specifically a marketing agency for health companies, but because of the podcast and I think the passion that I have, and I think that would set us apart. As a marketing agency for health, sometimes there are certain things that are very specific that you need to know the subject in order to get the best result.
Okay.
So some of the best case studies are in the health niche. I think that's what set us apart. And so a lot of the clients that we have right now are in health.
Right.
And so I'm glad the times at uni were not wasted. It kind of still came handy.
Right.
For me.
And would you say, I introduced you as like a kind of biohacker? Would you be a self-proclaimed biohacker? Because when we met for the first time, it was actually over in London at a biohacking event.
Yeah. Okay. So I think, yes, I don't like anymore the term biohacker. Like, I think that over the years, right, I think when there is something new, there is always like the novelty. And the novelty, a lot of time, there are good intentions. And then as things become mainstream, a lot of the scammers kind of cut up. And then it becomes, I got the feeling now there's more of a fashion statement for a lot of people, kind of looking for a new word for it that is biohacker, because a lot of people think, okay, ring, I'm a biohacker, right? And I don't, I don't like that part. So I'll say right now, before, yes, biohacker, full on. Now I think health enthusiast.
Okay.
But yeah, absolutely. Health is still now even more than before. Because when my mom passed away, so I was very into health, like to the point that was everything had to be perfect. When my mom, and when you start seeing the benefits of something, then you become a little bit too accustomed to it, and you don't really see the results. I'm not sure how to explain it. Like it's you do things that work.
Yeah.
You do things that work for a long time, and then when you go from sick to health to normal to healthy to super healthy, the super healthy become your new standard.
Right.
That's your new normal. And then you think that all the things that you were doing, I started questioning, maybe they don't have so much of an impact. So my mom passed away, and that really, it was a bit of a crazy period because I was living in Australia. My mom was undergoing chemo. She was in Italy. I was between Australia, Europe, running the business, starting the new business, COVID in between, the podcast. So I did cut off a little bit. I started cutting corners, including certain health rituals that I was following. And then you remember that scale from my health? So I went from super healthy to normal to sick again.
Okay.
Right. And I said, okay, so those stuff were working. So I'm more conscious now that those things are important. And with good health, your mind is a bit more clear, or your mind works better. Like your mood is better as well. I think it's a duty that we have to be strong enough, to just carry stuff and move around. It's a duty to ourselves for when we're going to get older.
Yeah.
And so now my health consciousness is even stronger than before.
Right.
But with a good compromise, I still enjoy my life. I eat my pizza, which for many years I didn't do. Now I do it. It's not the best thing, not the healthiest thing, even though the way you prepare it, you can minimize it.
Right.
But yeah, now
you're happy.
Yeah, correct. Right. So it's about finding compromise. But I do know now there are a lot of like the red light, the red light, the vagus nerves, like a lot of these things really work and really make a difference.
Mhm.
And I've known because I went from bad to very good to very bad again when I stopped.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I think that many people forget. I think that's important to mention when it comes to health. To get healthy again, or from a bad place to a good place, and vice versa.
Yeah.
A lot of time we think that that will come pretty soon, overnight, or not overnight, but pretty soon,
Couple of weeks.
couple of weeks. What I think is the case instead, at least for, is that it takes months
Mhm.
to go from good to bad and bad to good. So you remember I told you from super healthy to bad again,
Mhm.
that second bad journey, it wasn't overnight. Like, you kind of create that loop that is fine to get into the old bad routines. Okay, I'm not sleeping 8 hours again. I'm sleeping 5, 6 hours. I'm still fine.
Mhm.
I'm eating a little bit more sugar than before. I'm still fine. So that was the loop for me because it wasn't so immediate.
Mhm.
Some things were immediate, don't get me wrong, but because it wasn't so immediate, that's the trap
Right.
that gets you down.
Right. And then you only realize it once you already hit that one because your body catches up on you, probably.
Catches that, and vice versa.
Mhm.
When you are in a bad place and you want to improve your health,
Yeah.
you need to be very resilient because it's not going to be some things you're going to see them in the short term, but a lot of the things is going to take
Right.
quite a while. So I think it's important to realize this. I think it took me a good 8 months before getting in a place that I'm happy again
Right.
to my health. Yeah.
And so you've set up this agency, you have your business now,
Mhm.
you're looking at developing other businesses. You
Yeah.
had your podcast, but you paused it for a while to just kind of refocus, get to your healthy state. Clearly, you're of the belief that
Mhm.
entrepreneurs can operate without jeopardizing their health.
Yeah.
What's your kind of stance on this debate? Do you think you need to work, 15, 16 hours a day? Or do you think, hey, 8 hours, if you do really productive and you're in like the best state, it's going to be more effective?
Yeah. It's a good question. Um, I still work a lot, a lot. Um, Probably I work 12 hours a day now, so way less than before.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference is that I got drive now,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't see. I want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I've got enthusiasm
Mm-hmm.
in perfectioning the service with the agency, in perfectioning making an impact with the psychology clinic, the
Mm-hmm.
telehealth clinic, helping my family. Um, so I do want to do it,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't have to do it so much.
Right.
If I didn't want to, I
Mm-hmm.
want to do it because I want to improve. I want to go. It's my choice. It's
Mm-hmm.
not an absolute need. It is possible. There are non-negotiable. Now, going to the gym is a non-negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
Quality time with family is a non-negotiable. I schedule the activity that has to be done.
Okay.
And then, of course, sometimes there are emergencies,
Mm-hmm.
but and you need to jump in when there is an emergency. And the more you grow, I think the more things can happen.
Mm-hmm.
But those are emergencies.
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't be the norm.
Right. Right.
So yes, it is totally possible. But I also think to work to if you have big goals, you still need to put the work in.
Mm-hmm.
There is no maybe obviously there are people that can do in a more effective way. If you really want to do the way I see it now, I said, okay, I've got this amount of hours during the week, and I know I want to achieve certain goals.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I can do it in 6. I can do it in 4. But I think my mind goes, I got all these other 6 hours. I can learn, and a lot of the time, I say work, a lot of the times is studying, right?
Right.
So I can learn how to build a super agents that book my flight for me and find for the best places in Chengdu for a restaurant. And I don't know, for example, I can build with make.com on other automation tools like a super agents that get the best AI information from the web and create a post on LinkedIn, create a post on Facebook, create a post on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
goes out there and publish it. This is just a couple of examples.
Yeah.
or I could work on the new procedures. So I can work. Yeah, it is possible, but then it really depends what you want to do.
Okay.
I want to grow all the businesses,
Right.
and yeah,
So with health being the number one priority,
yeah.
basically you're in top of mind to be able to learn
Hmm.
and then use your time efficiently
Hmm.
using AI, different applications to apply that to nearly buy back your time. So it's a constant
Correct.
cycle, but you really feel that health is the cornerstone for doing all that. You mentioned big goals.
Yeah.
What is big goal? Do you have the 1 year, the 10 year? What does it typically look like?
Hmm.
Are you happy now, or is it I'm going to be happy when I do X?
Good question. No, I think after my mom passed away, my um, I've changed a lot. So I'm happy. I'm happy now.
Hmm.
Um, but I still got drive to do more. But I'm very grateful to what I have because I've been in pretty bad places, sometimes financially, sometimes mentally. When my mom passed away, I did what's the word? Hold grief. Is that what you say?
Yeah,
When yeah,
yeah,
I did hold grief for a long, long time. And so if I compare now to those moments, I said, "Oh, I've got it great." Like it just
right.
so I'm very, very happy where I am now. But of course, I want to grow and do more things. So my missions are, so first of all, is always, I feel I really want to help others. So this year, I really feel joy when I help my family.
Hmm.
I feel joy. It really fulfilled me. I'm so happy about that because I thought it was just something that I had to do. Like it really fulfilled me. So
Hmm.
I really now find fulfillment when I help my close relatives.
Right.
And but I'm also under the belief is like in an airplane they told you put the oxygen mask first to yourself.
Yeah.
First, I need to make sure that I'm fine and
Hmm.
strong, like mentally and physically, in order to do that.
Yeah.
So number one mission is making sure that I'm always in that state. So
Yeah.
always keep working on myself, keep working on my health, finding new things that I can that can help my health even better. So I still study about my health because
Hmm.
I need to be strong mentally and physically in order to keep up with the business and everything. That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, I want to retire my dad,
Hmm.
and he worked. He's a truck driver, still works. So all his life has been spending in a truck and work. So that's, I think, the next step for me. I just want to comfortably retire my dad.
Hmm.
And also want to, so, and that goes into category of myself first, right? So I retire my dad, I spend more time with him. He can travel, he can be in Indonesia with me, he can be in Australia with me. I'm happier, so I'm
Right.
healthier. So
Right.
be probably altruistic but selfish at the same time, right?
Yeah.
I want to have, I'm a bit worried the direction that the world is going. I'm excited for all the developments in science, especially, and but on the other hand, I'm a bit worried of how the world is going, like wars, control, security cameras everywhere, and so I want to be able to be independent in the
Right.
way I live. What I mean by independent is like producing my own. So I want to have a place that is home, that doesn't get overtaxed every year, so could be taxed tomorrow, and so something that is home and is permanent. I want to be able to produce my electricity, collect my water, um, and ideally in emergency, growing my food. And it
Hmm.
might be extreme, but I think that's one of the goals for me, being fully independent. For me, independence. And we started this podcast by saying independence for me really put me at ease. So I want to achieve that. With That's why I'm in Indonesia. We're looking at buy land, building
Hmm.
for property development purposes, but also for us. And really want to continue growing, socially speaking, because it's something different than the marketing. So with marketing now, my goal, that's why I'm putting more emphasis with the health companies,
Hmm.
and I can afford to be more selective now than before. Before I
Right.
couldn't be as selective, but now I can. And a lot of time I say, not a lot of time, but there are times that I say no. I have clients that own business mentorship that they were, I believe they were selling things that should not be deserved to reach out to other people. I said no. Or people that want to sell snake oil. I said no. So I want to use the marketing agency to help as many companies in health that really are making a difference.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my, let's say, indirect way of helping people. And that's still in the short-term category.
Okay.
Socially speaking, I can really see how people who do the programs are...
Maybe just what is socially speaking?
Yes.
Just for those that don't know.
Yes. Yes. Good point. I give it for granted sometimes. So socially speaking is a company that I did not start. My current partner start. She's a speech pathologist, and she also has her own business called Gender Voice Center that helps people with their voice. She helps people, transgender people,
Mm-hmm.
feminizing their voice through speech pathologists. And she wanted to start this new company as well. I say new, but it's been already 4 years probably, called Socially Speaking, where we have on board psychologists, counselors, occupational therapists, and speech pathologists as
Right.
well. And the focus, it started with the focus of people with social challenges. Mainly, a lot of people we have are people with autism and ADHD, but not only.
Okay.
But the goal, so we started with this program called Peace Program from UCLA. It's not that we invented it, right? So, we did the course to be able to provide the program through speech pathologists and psychologists. Consists of a 6-week online program for teenagers, young adults, and older adults. And the final outcome is very comprehensive. We got everything on the website.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, an app. But it consists on an hour and a half a week with a psychologist and a speech pathologist. The ultimate goal is to making people with social challenges, which I didn't know was a need that people have, is an epidemic. I found that is an epidemic. The outcome is people with social challenges to go out there and be more comfortable to make friends, more comfortable in the dating space, more comfortable in the workforce. And I really, when I started this, I didn't know if there was a real need for it. Now that I've been in it for a few years, there is an absolute epidemic and people with so much need of this. And when people complete the program, they really feel changed, like their life changed for the better.
Right.
And that has become the motto. So this is where I think the new phase of entrepreneurship has started happening through Socially Speaking, because for me, the first phase was I'll be a successful entrepreneur if I make as much money as I can.
Mm-hmm.
I still believe you need to do that, obviously, but when you also make your service or product so good that really you can see that people really benefit and change people, it's it gives it gives that drive to do the 12 hours a day without being annoyed by it.
Right, because you're getting the fulfillment, seeing people just being so much better after it.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, you said there's an pandemic or an epidemic in terms of like social skills. What caused that?
I have my opinions of it. So I think it's a bit, I don't know for sure, but I certainly believe that I think the pandemic, COVID, must have played a role. Like, in Socially Speaking, I do the marketing. I do what I do. It's the marketing, right? So I'm not a psychologist, so I don't have the studies to say this. But I think the fact that for almost 2 years, people could not go to school. It's such an important such an important part of ourselves. Like relate with other people.
For sure.
And we've been lucky to be able to do that. And some people, like for the key years, for 2 years, they didn't do it. Plus, even now, like I remember when I was a kid, when I was out and playing with my friends, I was out and playing with my friends. Now it's the scheduled activity. Right? It's not the norm. So I think devices certainly influence. I believe there is a spike in people with autism. I found that a lot of people, like I have a brother that is autistic, and he's doing great now. He's got a lot of friends and so on. But for him, wasn't that easy, right? To make friends was not as obvious. So it could be a mix of we are too digitalized from a very young age. Pandemic could have contributed.
Right.
Um,
I think definitely the pandemic is an issue. I remember when the pandemic happened, and you couldn't go out, you couldn't even go anywhere.
Yeah.
I was in Ireland for a lot of it,
Yeah.
and there was restrictions where you couldn't even go to the supermarket for a while or like visit friends. And I remember kind of towards the end of it when you were back going to like cafes and seeing someone that I hadn't seen before in a very long time, and I didn't even know, should I shake their hand? How do I say hello again? This is kind of weird, and I feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Just something that was so normal prior to that 2 years. So I can completely relate to anyone struggling with that. And I think it's like going to the gym or building a muscle. You just have to do it by
Yeah.
doing it, right? And you just build up that muscle again, and it becomes more natural and normal.
That's a good point, and I can relate to that as well. I'm a very, I think I consider myself a very social person.
Right.
I love being around people, and so on. I remember when everything opened was you become super conscious of hugging people. I say hi, but hugging people.
Yeah.
So I was so conscious, and I think for a while, that my behavior changed as well. For a person who's already very social,
Yeah.
so maybe with someone that is already a little bit shy,
Exactly.
could be even worse.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been a contributor. I think there are many variants of why, but that could have been a contributing factor for sure.
Okay, so you're helping people in terms of marketing, you're helping companies, especially health brands, you're helping people with social skills. You're looking now in Bali to kind of explore more real estate for biohackers. What out of all these things that you're doing, and you said you're giving it back, you want to retire your dad. What excites you the most right now? What's getting you out of bed every day?
To be honest, the fact, so now I consider myself, so I like I really like getting into businesses or starting new businesses, go through, head on through the challenges and make them better, make them more efficient. I love the learning curve that I'm going through
Yeah.
of starting or taking on existing businesses and making them better, more efficient, better services. That would really give me enthusiasm
Okay.
right now. The business per se, and obviously inside each business you got your subcategory or the
Right.
different motivation, but the business per se,
Yeah.
it's a drive. I really love it.
So it's just the challenge and the building on it over time.
Yeah.
Yeah. What have you found if you were to give Renato back in Naples advice today? What would you
Yeah.
say to him?
Oh, I wish I had a couple of hours, but I think the first, worry less. And yeah, because I do, a lot of time. I always, a lot of time, I always think for the worst, like a lot of worry. So I'm gonna run out of money. What I'm gonna do when I'm older? I think it's good growing up knowing everything is gonna be all right.
Right.
So that's a little bit more I guess, the woo-woo things that a lot of people would say. But also, I think probably I will try to give some key lessons. I'm very visual sometimes, so I'll try to think, okay, if I could talk with Renato young, I would not want young Renato to know I'm old Renato, right? So I will try kind of to pass the message in a way that my message could help him through life without knowing what to expect.
Right.
So the first learning would be the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Very powerful. Like it's you limit yourself. Like
Right.
it's self-limiting beliefs are a thing. You can do anything. Sometimes it's just gonna work harder. You know, some people that start with a little bit more of a head start than other people.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. But that shouldn't be an excuse not to have certain goals or to consider certain goals reachable. So changing the mindset, saying
Okay.
that everything is reachable.
Right. Right. So if someone else can do it, why not you?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that was the inspiration for me for a lot of the time. Even now at present,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I see people that are highly successful, way more successful than I am.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously I don't know them personally. But my clique, I mean, my main motivators is like, I can do it. If he can do it, or she can do it, I can do it. Like this person
Right.
is nothing more than I have.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously now they do, but it's yeah. So that's still now is the main motivators, especially when people that I dislike are more successful than me
Okay.
in business,
Yeah.
because success is a very vague
Right.
terminology, right?
Right.
That's a big motivator. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I see someone that I don't respect too much doing very well in business,
Mm-hmm.
then now if this person can do it, I definitely can do it as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Is there anyone that you look up to right
Anyone?
now? Because back in Italy,
Mm,
there was that one guy that ran the business that you thought was a bit of a mentor.
mm,
But now, is there any person that you kind of like follow or aspire to be like, either lifestyle wise or replicate kind of what
mm.
they own?
Huh. You know, I never asked myself that question, so I don't have an immediate
Mm-hmm.
answer. I think would be a mix of people trying to get the best, what I think is the best out of different people.
Mm-hmm.
It could be, and I really mean that, like it could be the way of prioritizing people close to you, like my mom was doing. So I really look up to that. Um, I really look up to entrepreneurs that are really entrepreneurs that are really their sole scope is like making business better, and the time is not the currency. But no, I wouldn't say I have one person in particular right
Mm-hmm.
now, because if I had to think about it, right, if I had one person, it would come straight to mind.
Yeah.
But I do read a lot. I think books are like really the cheat code,
Mm-hmm.
um, and very affordable. 2021.
Right.
Because nobody wants to write a book. No successful person wants to write a book that it's a mediocre book, right? So
Right.
people will tend to give a lot of value in books, even though a book will cost you $20.
Mm-hmm.
So I still get a lot of very keen insight on my life there. So sometimes a reminder, like need to keep reading because, yeah, but I don't have yet one person
Mm-hmm.
that I look up, one specific person that I look up to. Um, but a lot of time for everything I do, one of the motivators is I like to think that everything that I do now,
Mm-hmm.
it's I like to see things as present Renato, future Renato as two different people. That really helped me with the discipline, because a lot of time when I want to not to follow a certain path or not to be as disciplined as I would like to, I
Mm-hmm.
always things like, oh, just give a favor to future Renato.
Right.
You know, future Renato really benefit from it.
Right. Right.
And
So do the hard thing today to get the reward in the future.
yeah,
Okay.
and a lot of time, right? Did it happen to you that a lot of time, like you said, oh, I'm glad I did this,
Mm-hmm.
you know, a few years after.
For sure.
So now trying to reverse engineer that kind of
Think
process.
about what it is and then do it now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
My last question.
Mhm.
After you've built these businesses further, you've developed more, you've given back to the people that you want to, how do you want to be remembered by? Like when people talk about you in the
Mm,
future, what do you want them kind of saying? Like, who are you?
yeah. So I don't think I've achieved that yet, but I know that is within me. Probably, I think my main skill is the creativity. So I like to get to a point to have enough time to have my creatives. And when I say creativity, I mean in innovation, to innovate, to create new things. That's what I love people to remember me as a very creative person that sees things outside of the main schemes of people. And maybe the other thing is the resilience. Because now that I look back, I think I've been very resilient. I couldn't do it all over again. I quit. I'm too tired to do all over again. So probably
Right.
resilient
Okay.
as well. Someone that has shown that resilience can pay off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Renato, been an absolute pleasure.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for everything.